Chris Ruddy is here with me. He's the CEO of Newsmax Media. And Chris, you're oftentimes described as a Trump confidant. I don't know if you like that or not. Do you like being called that?
I think Trump friend is good enough. I don't want to overstate the relationship.
I know you were there with him in the UK.
I'm a member of the enemy of the people. Remember that. I'm a member of the press.
But that's what's strange about this, right? Can anyone get through to him and say, calling us the enemy of the people is dangerous?
Look, I think he's actually used that term before.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it comes out of emotion, which is he's very angry about the press treatment. You guys haven't given him a moment to breathe. Ever since he was elected, people on this network, on MSNBC, were calling for his impeachment, I think even before he took the oath of office.
Not anchors or reporters. You're talking about guests.
Yeah, but you guys were propelling it and pushing it. And it's been a narrative, like, you know, I look at this narrative, but you never talk about the real narrative. When he inherited that job, Obama had economic growth rates of 1.5%. This past quarter, they're saying it's going to be about 4.4. The president told me in England he thinks it's going to be 4.8. Maybe Kudlow's going to work the numbers for that. But it's a 300% increase in about 18 months. I don't think in history we've ever had anything like this. You guys never talk about any of the positives. So, yes, the president made some missteps.
We have an entire business division that sits right behind you that covers the economy every day.
And they're on at 3 o'clock, and you're on all Sunday morning, and Chris and Anderson are on, blasting him away every night.
You don't think the Russia story is worthy of primetime coverage?
Look, I think the president made some missteps. He admitted he misspoke. But the idea, like I've just heard on your program for the past 40 minutes, this hysterical stuff that he was, Max Boot said that he was colluding in open daylight, you know, that he's engaging in treason. This stuff is just beyond belief that President Kennedy, and I'm sure you like President Kennedy as I did, but when he became president, he withdrew American military support to those patriots landing on the Bay of Pigs. They were slaughtered. They were imprisoned. He did it at the last minute. He gave them no warning. People at the time accused him of betrayal, of treason. Now, that was
it was a stain on his presidency.
Well, and he learned from it and he adjusted. We have a relatively new president who had less political experience than John Kennedy.
But hold on, you're saying he gets credit for the economy, it's going gangbusters, but he's still new at his job?
Yeah, he is new at his job. He's relatively new president. He had for 50 years, he's been a business guy. And, you know, as a business guy, Brian, words are not so much as important as the concrete actions of the deal. And I think Donald Trump, my own view of the Putin meeting was that he met with Putin and he was exuberant after that meeting because he came out very magnanimous. He probably got, now I haven't spoken to him about it. My guess is he got huge concessions. The meeting went better than anyone expected. And he thought, you know what, I'm going to be overly nice to this guy and see what happens.
We don't know.
We don't know, but we will see in the next coming months. And
we're going to see Russia interfere in our elections in the coming months.
But I do know this. He's dramatically increasing spending by NATO. He's dramatically increased military spending. He's modernizing the nuclear arsenal. I remember speaking to the president just before he became president. He said we were at a disadvantage to Russia. He did not want to go into meetings with Putin having a weak nuclear arsenal. He's the first president in about 20 years to modernize the nuclear arsenal. This is not a friend of Russia, okay?
Then why did he talk like one?
Because negotiating style. This is from his business career. He's coming in, he's setting. Now, I personally don't agree with that approach.
What you're saying to the audience is just trust us. We'll take care of this. That's what you're saying.
No, I'm saying something a little,
trust.
I'm actually saying something a little different, is just go beyond the words and look at his concrete action. If he was engaging in collusion.
I agree with you that actions matter more than words. His actions on the world stage were disgraceful.
Why?
Because he stood there and didn't defend us.
Do you believe that he's colluding with Russia?
I wish I could just say no. He's definitely not. That's crazy.
But why
that's crazy. But I can't say that because he's acting in other ways.
But acting, why would he put people like John Bolton, Mike Pompeo, and Jim Mattis, who are all Russia hawks, in the key security positions, setting the...
I think that's a fair point. It's strange that he contradicts his own
I've always felt you're a fair reporter. I know you've recently been sort of accusing the president of all sorts of things. And you know what? I think criticism of his is fine, but just give the other side. You know, at Newsmax, we'll have criticism of the president, but as long as it's on policy issues and not, I have disagreed on his health care plan, for instance, but I think he's done a tremendous job on the economy. He gets zero credit, and
he gets a lot of credit for that.
Where? Where
all
you guys
over the
never
press. We
talk about it on prime time. You don't bring guests to talk on it. When was the last time you had Larry Kudlow on talking about 4.5% growth rates?
Larry Kudlow should do more interviews. I completely agree with you.
All right, well,
these aides should give more interviews.
Hey, Larry, I'm sure would love to be on your show. I'll call him.
Can I ask you about Sinclair briefly? There was some developments this week about the Sinclair Tribune deal. You've been lobbying against the deal, which would expand Sinclair's footprint across the country. I know you spoke with the president about it. Is he the invisible hand overseeing media regulation right now?
I think he's quite the opposite. I don't think there's any evidence he got any medals in the FCC. As you know, that's an independent regulatory agency headed by his appointing Ajit Pai. And I think Pai did an incredible, remarkable, bipartisan, unanimous, showed a lot of integrity. He effectively rejected the Sinclair deal.
Yeah.
Not because he disliked Sinclair. They were 8 months delayed in the process. They refused to comply to the most basic regulatory rules. The DOJ has yet to approve this merger.
They were doing some shady stuff. Just to explain to our viewers, they were trying to shed some of the stations, but in ways that looked like they were still going to secretly own the stations. That's essentially the problem.
My conversations with the president, I told him about my opposition because Sinclair would have reached 70% of U.S. homes. And while I don't disagree necessarily with Sinclair's editorial point of view, I did not want to see NBC and ABC and the other big liberal networks owning a reach of 70%. I think it would have been very dangerous if NBC was dictating the local news coverage in Des Moines, Iowa. The president, I think, had a different view on that. But, at the end of the day, the FCC acted as it was supposed to act, which is an independent regulatory agency. And I think it's a credit to the unanimous decision, bipartisan. It's a template of how this government could work. And I think when the Democrats and Republicans agree on things.
I'm glad you're here, Chris, and I hope you'll suggest to the president to make more Trump aides available for interviews on CNN.
Could we agree next week?
Let's get Kudlow on here.
Next week we do a program about all the president's economic successes. Could we do that?
We're a 24-hour channel.
I'll ask
but
Larry.
I just get 1 hour about the media.
If I could get Larry Kudlow to come on and just talk about that, would you be open to it?
I am sure many people at CNN would love to interview Larry Kudlow.
Maybe the president will come on if you'll just talk about his economic. Would you, Mr. President?
You'd be a good co-host for me. All right, Chris, great to see you.
Thank you.
Bye. Great to see you.